If you are feeling unfulfilled in your relationship or find yourself constantly comparing your relationship to that of others, it may be time to take back control.
Dr. Laura Bokar, author of We Need to Talk, 24 Simple Insights for Relationships, joins us now with a few tips for all of us out there. And we were talking in the break, you guys have all been very busy since COVID hit.
We have been extremely busy. It's been over the top.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful that couples are coming in and wanting to improve or strengthen their relationship. So it's really wonderful to see that they'll do that.
Yes.
And when you hear those three words, we need to talk, or maybe
Four
more words, we need to talk, most people get afraid. They tend to like clam up or like put it in that defensive posture. How can you approach this situation so that people will be open and then you actually start addressing some of the issues that you need to talk about strengthening your relationship?
Right, and that was the purpose of the book. The title of the book is that's the thing that people don't want to hear. They don't want to see that note on the fridge, we need to talk. And so it kind of does exactly what you said. It kind of shuts them down and like, uh-oh, what am I in for? So it's really coming to it and asking them if you can have a conversation and setting a time to do that and really letting them know what you want to talk about provides an opening for communication about it. So
I imagine it would be harder too if there's one member of the relationship who feels this way, the other one doesn't see it. How do you start that conversation when you don't think the other person realizes where your struggles are?
Yeah, it can be difficult to do that, but it's being vulnerable enough to say, I'm hurting. People respond more to emotions than they do to the intellect. So if you share what you're feeling, it brings a different understanding, like to say that what you did really bothered me or what you did really hurt me. Two different approaches, and usually if you come out with the feelings, it's much more effective.
Okay, so what are you seeing as the real causes, root causes, I should say, of what's causing people to come in and having deteriorating relationships?
There's an important piece of a relationship that gets missed, and it's injuries. And I work with a lot of couples, and the main injury and the secret that gets held back is usually an affair. So secrets are one of the most harmful things in a relationship. And when it's not shared, it creates emotional distance and a physical distance.
Yeah.
So, and secrets are different than private. So you can be private, and that's something that is between you and someone special to you or someone that you care about. And a secret is something that's going to cause shame. If you share it, it's going to cause shame. So what happens is when there's an affair, or not even an affair, you can say if someone doesn't do what they said they're going to do, or someone kind of looks down at you when you're stating your opinion. There's little injuries that occur in a relationship, and they build up over time. And they usually don't get addressed because it's like, well, it's just that one time, or they get blown off. They get built up. And so those injuries really need to be talked about and really need to be expressed. And the partner needs to understand it and truly have compassion about it for it to be healed. But those are usually the ones, that's what's happened with COVID, right? Everything came to the head. It's because it's been sitting there and building up.
I know you say that all couples are different, all relationships are different, we all have different backgrounds, we
Right.
come from different families. During COVID, so let's take the affair element out of a possible struggle within a relationship. In COVID, what was building up between people? And now that we're still in COVID, but as we're coming into the new year and building stronger bonds, how do we fix those?
Well, first of all, it's the buildup is there until you talk about it.
Okay.
So until you talk about it, there's no release for it. So it needs to be having a conversation is so important during this time. So, and even while it's coming down, those things still need to be talked about.
Okay.
They won't go away just because now I go back to the office.
Am I running from it?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just packed away somewhere. So in the book, what do you do for couples or people who are looking to try to build or repair these relationships?
Well, first of all, to have them come in. Sometimes it's difficult for them to want to be vulnerable enough to come into an office. And so we try to make it really comfortable for them. Like even on our website, we show what an office looks like. a therapist's office, because it can be kind of like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And it's usually what they show on TV. So make them comfortable, and then really we guide the conversation and really let them trust us and trust the environment so they can open up about what they're feeling.
Does it have to be a couple situation, or is it a one-on-one kind of a thing?
It depends. If it's a relational issue, it's better if they both come in, because what happens too many times if one of the partners come in and does therapy by themselves and the other partner doesn't, it can cause distance and cause a demise of the relationship, and that's not what we're looking to do.
We're almost out of time, but I wanted to ask, if you have one member of a couple who wants to seek therapy and another doesn't, are they really in some serious trouble? Is there salvaging that relationship?
I always have hope for relationships, so it really is not the end of the relationship. To have that person come in, it doesn't mean that they can't go back and ask the other partner to come in because of what they have learned and what they said that they want to do different. Because the most important thing is that we need to be the best person that we can be, right?
Yeah.
And so that we bring that back to the relationship, how could they not want to see?
All right.
Good
Dr.
point.
Laura Boker, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.